Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Script Doll Office Hours. Thank you for showing up live. If you're watching the replay, that is cool too. Today, we're going to be talking about 6 ways to stop leaking profits with your offers so you're not leaving money on the table anymore. So, this week, we're kind of taking a step a little bit away from the whole, you know, nitty gritty aspects of copywriting per se, but we are going to be talking about and diving deep into our offers and how we can really squeeze the most out of what we're offering to the visitors that are visiting our offers. So no matter what kind of offer they're visiting, whether it's a squeeze page, whether it's a sales letter, whether it is a blog post, whatever it is, we're going to be talking about how you can make the most out of your web property. So give me a yes inside of the chat box or questions box if that sounds good to you, and we will get into the content right away. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the reason why these things are great, because it's your questions, your interaction, and you know that really, I really feed off that. So thank you for participating. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, my name is Debbie Drum, and I am the head of content development over at 33 Productions, and I focus on a lot of the content revolving around Scriptdoll and also the Fearless Social blog. And today we are going to be covering specifically 6 ways to stop leaking cash with your offers, exactly how to fix the cash leaks quickly, easily, and inexpensively. So we got to identify what the problem is, and then we're going to show how we actually can fix those problems right away. So that's kind of like the first part of the webinar. And then the third part is the control every offer method that revolves around the same concept of how you can stop leaking cash even if you don't control the offer. And it'll make sense to you when we're actually talking about it. Okay, so the first thing I want to kind of bring to light is to take advantage of the technology. And I think I say this all the time, but it's so true. Like, we're so lucky in this internet world that we live in today, because I know even when I started online marketing 5 years ago, the stuff that we have today, the tools that we have access to, just makes our jobs so much easier, and it gives us the ability to really squeeze the most out of what we're selling online, so that we can um, you know get access and get in front of more people, even if they deny our offers in the first place or when they first see it. So we're able to follow up easier just because of the technology that we have at our fingertips that is very, very affordable. And these things that we can do today that I'm going to be talking about on this webinar, that wasn't the case even just a couple of years ago. So we have, these simple tools in our arsenal, and we don't really have to go too much overboard when it comes to these things. And you'll see that'll be more clear as we go on. All right. So the point is that we have a lot of things, and it's very, very easy to get our hands on it because it's just not going to break the bank, and we have pretty much access to things that was just not possible in the past. You'd have to be like coders, or you'd have to pay a programmer to build you these types of things that we're seeing that we have at our access very easily today. So I want to ask you, are your offers leaky? And today we're going to be talking about going beyond the bare minimum. So What that means is that, the bare minimum could be like, let's say you have, like, you're selling a product, and if you're selling a product, you would just, to sell that product, you would just put up a squeeze page, right? That's kind of like, or a sales page, a squeeze page or a sales page. So that's kind of like the bare minimum. You're just putting up a sales page and a buy button, and then you're just, making it live. There you go. And that works to some extent, but you're really leaving a lot of money on the table if you're just doing the bare minimum. And with these simple tools and this technology that we have readily available to us, we're going to go beyond the bare minimum and it's not going to take us tons and tons of time to do that. Okay, that's really important because, again, we're not going to be spending hours upon hours putting this stuff together to plug our leaks. We're going to be doing simple things and using what we already have to re-engage people back into our offers and into our funnels, and just back to what we're offering, whether it's on a blog, whether it's on a squeeze page, whether it's on a sales letter. Okay, so here's 6 ways we can stop leaking profits. So number 1 is, and I'm going to tell you where this all applies to. So number 1 is to have a sidebar opt-in, and this obviously just applies to your blog. It's not really on a sales letter. You don't really put a sidebar opt-in on your sales letter. And the kind of the rules of a sidebar opt-in is that it should be above the fold, so the user doesn't have to actually scroll down to see that you have a sidebar opt-in. And they and your sidebar opt-in can either be very specific or it could be general. So on the bottom here I have two examples here, and the one on the left where it says get updates, that's a pretty general one, right? So it's not saying anything specific about what you're going to give them, like you're going to give them a report that does XYZ, you're going to give them a video. You're just going to say, here I am, and if you want updates on what I'm doing, just put your email in. The one on the right here, it's very specific. Get 10 plus ways to make money with book publishing. Okay, so that's very specific. They're going to get that free gift, and they know what they're actually going to get. So I've obviously tested both of these. They both work. Sometimes when you get too specific, like the one on the right here, um, I often find that sometimes you have to change your offers around a lot, because if you have something on your blog like that and then like a year from now it can get outdated. So you have to make sure you really keep that up to date. Otherwise you're giving people, like, you might have affiliate offers in that report, right? And then those affiliate offers are just so old that they're not going to work anymore. So you really need to keep that in mind and make sure if you do have a specific kind of gift that you're giving out, then you have to keep that updated. Okay, so that's the first one. So the tool to plug the leak for a sidebar opt-in is a simple autoresponder like Aweber, GetResponse, ActiveCampaign, and you'll want to put that code in the sidebar widget, and it's usually under appearance and then widget inside of your blog, and then you could design your sidebar right inside of your autoresponder. So it's very easy to do. You can use the templates that your autoresponder provides you, or you can make a custom one, kind of like what I did here. I added an image, and you can do whatever you want. So it's pretty flexible in the customization. All right, so let's head on to number 2. Number 2 is have a light box. And your lightbox applies to your blog as well. And what a lightbox is this picture here where it's like it's an opt-in box, right? And it blocks out, it makes everything else black on the page, and it just shows like a specific gift that a person can get once they're on your site. And I have used this, and I use this on my blogs, and I found that this lightbox gets much more opt-ins than a sidebar opt-in box. So the first one that we just talked about, this is actually way more effective because it's more in their face. It's more of like a reminder, hey, don't miss this type of thing. And the rules is that you don't have to show it every single time on every single page. Just make sure you're not going crazy showing this. And there are settings inside, which I'll show you, that that you can say, don't show this every time, or maybe show it every 3 times, whatever, that a person visits your site. So you kind of have to put that in place because you don't want to really annoy people off of your blog. Okay. So I've seen this as much as like a 32 or even higher percent more opt-ins than the sidebar. So this is really, really effective. So how do you plug this leak? Well, this solution actually ranges from free to pretty expensive. And I say pretty expensive. I said very expensive before, but it's not crazily expensive, but it could be. It's you'll see here, but the free option, which I really like, is your autoresponder, and it works perfectly. So I'll get to the fancier option in a second, but I have here, all you need to do inside of your autoresponder is you need to make a web form, and instead of choosing embedded, you just choose Lightbox. And here you go ahead and you design your opt-in form like you would any other one, but instead of it being like an embed code, it actually, the code looks exactly the same, and the function is the same. It's just not going to show on the screen. It's going to show after these specific settings that you put. So down here we have the light box, and then you can pick actually how many seconds you want it delayed by. So if you want it delayed by like 20 or 30 seconds, maybe give the person a chance to get on your blog, get to reading your blog, like maybe give them like 30 to 40 seconds to be chilling on your blog and actually looking around, see what they like, see what they want to read, things like that. So, I wouldn't put it as instantly as 1 second, because that's just a little, you're not giving them time to settle into your blog at all. So just, play around with the times, and then you want to show it after every specific amount of days. So I usually pick like 2 or 3 days. So if a person is visiting my blog often, they're probably going to opt in, but you're not going to want to show it like every single time that they're on there, because it's just, again, you don't want to pester people. So you really have to be careful with some of these things that we're talking about today, because you don't want to drive people away and scare people away. Okay. So and then there's like effects here that you can play around with too, but what you would do then with the code is that you would also just simply add it to your sidebar widget. And again, it's not going to show up on the sidebar. That's just where you put the code in the sidebar widget under appearance. So I'm just going to go back here. Now, I was just kind of one day looking at just fancier options, because I've seen people that have really, really nice light boxes, or people call them different things. I'm calling it a light box, but you can call it like similar to like a pop-up where it grays out all the screen and then it just comes up, and then the person has an option to close it if they want to. And I saw another marketer using one kind of look like this. I'm like, oh, what do you use? And she said that she uses this I guess it's like a plugin for your blog. It's called Pippity. And as you can see here, these prices, it ranges from $49 to $164. And, as you can also see, there's only 1 year access to support and updates. So, that's not the best if you're only getting a year of updates. So hopefully, you're getting the goods when you first buy it, because after a year, you never really know what's going to happen. So if you have a lot of sites, you're going to probably want the unlimited one. So that's kind of why I didn't go with this option, because I'm always skeptical of software, after the support is done. But obviously you can research and decide that for yourself. But I like this option because it has a lot of really sharp looking, pop up opt-in light boxes that come up, and they're really effective when you can add like a nice picture and you can add bullets like this. That's really, really sharp, and it gets people to it definitely works to get people to opt in to your list, right? Because that's what you're really, really after, people opting in. Yeah. Okay. Kissmetrics has rolled out this into their software. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I think Kissmetrics, that might be more of the an expensive option too, I believe. But yeah, sure. I mean, whatever is working, and the nicer you can get it, obviously, the better. But the bare minimum is using the simple Lightbox option with your autoresponder, especially if you're just starting out. Don't go too crazy buying all these fancy tools. All right, so number 3 is an exit pop or exit splash. Obviously for these things there are different names that people call them, and I have my own names. I don't even know if they're right half the time, but the exit pop slash exit splash comes up when people press the X when they're leaving your site. Okay, and this will apply to blogs, sales letters, squeeze pages. This can apply to everything and anything you're doing online, and they still work to this day. Okay, so I have this like um old school, it really does look old school, right? If you think about it, with all the fancy stuff that we see online, like you see this like gray box that has all these like old school symbols on them with the just the keyboard, and they actually still work. I actually have an exit pop on one of my blogs, this old school one, and I get opt-ins all the time. So basically, you can do anything from, wait, don't go, here, have you seen this free gift? And then they have the option of either staying on the page or leaving the page. Okay. So, even though these things look really ugly, they actually still work. So the rules for exit pops and exit splashes, you need to make them relevant. Obviously, they need to be relevant to the main offer that you're showing on the page, right? So if you're talking about video marketing and then you have an exit pop to a CPA thing, it's not going to really work for you, right? Because it's not related at all. I mean, it could work if they're leaving the offer without doing anything and they're not buying. Maybe they would be interested in something else, and you can actually test that out and try complimentary offers or supplementary offers, things like that. But you know, just having this extra step is something that will re-engage that person, and that's the point, right? You don't just want them to leave and get off the hook that quickly. You want them to just have another fighting chance to get to the next step somehow, and that's why this is pretty powerful. um I only say, like, I know that marketers do this, but I say that to be careful with price reduction exit pops, the ones that say, "Wait, do you want $10 off of this offer?" And a lot of marketers do that specifically on upsells, because, the upsells are usually, a little bit more expensive, a little pricier, and they say, hey, I'll give you $10 off of this if you just click here. And you get into trouble that way, because if you're someone who doesn't buy but you have an intention of buying later and you close out the screen and then you see that, well, first of all, you get a bad taste in your mouth about that marketer, because it's a little cheesy to have that strategy, in my opinion. Just, go with something else. Don't go with reducing your price, because most of the time they don't make their decision on price anyway. It's more about the offer that they're getting. And if the price offer justifies the price, that they'll buy it. So, if I'm that person who's saying, or who puts it off until later and then sees that kind of message, well, first of all, if I want the product, I'm definitely going to buy it at the lower price. And, it's just not a good strategy. And I see this used a lot with the exit pop specifically. So that's just my opinion, though. You can disagree if you'd like. Okay. So let's plug this leak, right? Plugging the leak. So first of all, actually 33 Productions has a cure for this. It's called Exit Pop. This is not a plug. Well, it is a plug. It's not a plug. uh, um, but yeah, I mean, this plugin is, or actually, it's a web-based tool. It's really cool because you can actually use it on any property, even if you don't own it. So even if you don't own the page, you can actually set it up so that you can, like, let's say you're promoting like an affiliate offer, you can have the exit pop on another offer, so that if they don't buy that offer, they could get something else, or they can opt into a list, or whatever it is on that topic. So I that's why I really like Exit Pop. But all these other sites and tools have this feature available as well, like Optimize Press, Lead Pages, InstaBuilder. ClickFunnels, I'm not 100% familiar with. They might have like a different kind of option than the Exit Pop. It might look a little bit different, might look a little bit fancier. So there's a ton of ways that you can just get an exit pop on your site really, really quickly. And the one that I show up here to the right, that's InstaBuilder's exit pop. So this is the one off of Chrome. So it looks a little bit less old school than the one on the left. All right, cool. All right, Ryan, I get what you're saying now. I was like, wait, what? Now I get it. That's so true. Um, Ryan says it makes you look desperate when you're reducing the price like that, which I totally agree with. It's not cool. It's not a good strategy. All right, so these are the options on how to plug that leak very, very easily. All right, so number 4, does anyone have any questions so far before I kind of go on to more leaks? We got 2 more, or actually 3 more leaks to talk about. Right, Michael says that devalues your offer. Absolutely. Cool. All right, so here we go. This is one that I'm really started liking recently, and I call them action triggers. And action triggers can be applied to really anything and anything. It can be applied to your blogs, your sales letters, your squeeze pages, anything. And basically, what they are, if somebody goes to move their mouse, like if they move their mouse up to close the window, it's somehow censored. I don't really know how it works. I'm not a programmer at all. So basically, it somehow knows that and it makes a pop-up appear. So I believe that they have different options. I like the one where they do it upon exit. So they're looking to exit and you give them another option to take the action that you want them to take. Okay. So I specifically like this on a sales page. Like one of the strategies that I've been using is, and a lot of marketers use this as well. Like, so let's say you're offering like, I don't know, an 8 module course, and then you say, hey, I understand you might not be ready now, but why don't you take a look inside, a sneak peek of one of the modules, and then you give one of the modules away once they opt in. And a lot of people don't buy the first time around, and maybe they need a little bit of an extra push to buy, and you want them to take some kind of step as opposed to just leaving your offer entirely. And this is a great one, and it actually is really, really effective, because what you're doing really is you're building a list of people who have shown some interest. So if you're doing like any type of product launch, and you're sending a lot of traffic, especially like other people's traffic too, like affiliate traffic, you're actually building a very, very targeted list to follow up with for the people who don't buy. So if you build a list of like 200 to 500 people just who picked up that free module, you have a very, very amazing list to follow up with when your offer is nearing closing time, or you just want to say, hey, look at this one thing that I added, and they just might need a little bit of a push. So if you want to follow up with the people more with the people that actually opted in, then you're doing like with the people who didn't opt in and didn't buy. So you're kind of getting like a free pass to market a little bit more to those people, because they're still on the fence, but they're still open to kind of hearing from you, right? If they don't want to hear from you anymore, they'll just opt out of that list. But it's also important to do what you want to do is, when you're setting this up, this special list, right? You want to make sure that and this is kind of like additional training here, because I wasn't really planning on speaking about this, but you want to make sure that you set up an automation rule in your autoresponder. So you want to make sure that if somebody goes on that list to get the free module and then they buy, then you want to take them off of the free module list, and then you just want them to be on the buyers list, because you don't want to be following up with those people who've already bought. That's just annoying. And usually if the person has purchased, they don't really need any additional follow-up. Okay, so you can easily just set up that automation inside of your autoresponder and just make sure that you're not constantly following up with people who have been on the special list and then they bought. Okay, and then that's going to happen often, because those people, again, those people are very, very highly targeted to potentially buy. And then you'll realize too, if you when you email this smaller list, you'll get like a really high engagement, you'll get a good opt-in or open rate. Your open rates will be really, really high, and it's just nice to kind of put those, mail those people separately, and then you're doing the rest of your list, right? So that's kind of a good tip. And so this works really, really well. So let's plug this leak. And these are the ones that I've seen and used this for, or actually not lead pages. I'm not a lead page user, so I'm guessing that they have something like this just because they're really good, and I think that they do. But I have used this with Optimized Press, lead pages, or sorry, ClickFunnels, and InstaBuilder. Okay, so I know Ben uses this function a lot with ClickFunnels. So and it works great. And it does what it says it does. So you literally test it out, and if you just scroll up fast, and it'll pop up, um, you know, when the person is looking to close the window. And you really want to test this if you're using something else besides what I'm recommending here. You really want to make sure that this works well, or this it's functioning properly, because you don't want people looking at your offer, right? And then having a pop up and saying something like, "Oh, you might not be ready yet. Here's something free." Like, you don't want that to happen. And obviously that's not the only way you can use that. You can use that like on a webinar sign up page too, and just give a person that extra nudge to sign up, just make another opt-in box for them to sign up to the webinar. There's many different ways to use this strategy. I just kind of named one, and the one that I've been using that has been working really well to build that highly targeted list. So that's a good one to use. What do we have for number 5? Okay. Number 5 is, again, people call these things different. So there's a header, CTA, call to action, / squeeze bar, / attention bar. And this can apply to blogs, and then it could also sometimes apply to sales letters, okay? So you want to be careful when you apply something like this to a sales letter, because you don't want to distract the person from doing something other than what you intend them to do or you want them to do, which is buy your product, okay? And I was actually listening to the Crazy Egg podcast, and their heat mapping studies have shown that the top is usually the most viewed on a web page, and that's why these attention bars, they work really well, because people look at those things more often than they do for everything else on the page. So that was interesting to kind of hear that, and that's why these things kind of work, and that's why they're powerful. Because you can also put this on the bottom of a page as well. You have the option of putting it on the top or the bottom. And what's nice about these is that they don't disappear when you scroll down. So they're constantly like frozen either at the top or the bottom of the page, wherever you put them, which is cool. So they always have that kind of call to action all the time. And what you'll see with some of the tools is that you can easily change this stuff. So what you can do is it's really a matter of testing. Do you test a link, right? This one right here, it just goes to a product. So you can try direct linking, you can try opt-in boxes, you can try social media. I know they have social media buttons for these. You can try different colors. Contrasting colors actually work the best. So if you're, this is purple on gray, you can try yellow. So just something that stands out from the rest of the colors on your blog, just so people can actually see it. Those are the ones that kind of work the best. All right. So it's just a matter of testing. There's no really right or wrong when it comes to these. So let's plug the leak here. So I use something, it's called Squeeze Bar. I bought it a while ago. I'm not really sure if it's still kind of open, but you can check that out. I know that there's Hello Bar by Crazy Egg, and I've also saw the other day that InstaBuilder has this option. I'm an InstaBuilder user. I really like that that plugin. Does a lot of great things. So it's not one of your kind of web-based applications to build quick pages, but it's a really great plugin, WordPress plugin. So and they close their offers a lot. So I'm not sure why they have a big launch and then they just close it up. I'm not sure why they do that. Maybe scarcity or whatever, but it's a good one. So yeah, so a lot of these have they're very customizable, and you can play around with, like I said, the direct linking, or putting your opt-in box in there, whatever you see working. And you can kind of look at other blogs and see what other people are doing to get ideas. And there are some fancier ones than others. Like, I know that you can put like really thick ones and put images in there. Some of them are really, really simple. Like the one on this screenshot is very simple, and that's called Squeeze Bar that I use. So it's just another way to kind of grab attention and call people to action to whatever you want them to do. All right, so we're on our last leak, and the leak is not retargeting. So what you want to do, and I probably say this like on every single webinar, because retargeting is just so powerful, and for the most part, people are not always going to be taking action that first time around. So you want to be able to follow up with people, and you want to do retargeting everywhere. This applies to blogs, it applies to squeeze pages, it applies to sales letters, it applies to everything. And it's just a realization that not everyone is going to take you up on your offer, whether it's free or not. They're just not going to take you up on your offer the first time around, and you need a way to get in front of those people. And when you do these different web properties like blogs, posts, squeeze pages, sales letters, you have that opportunity to dial in on what that interest is, and that what that person might be interested in, and then tell them about it again in some other way. And most of you know that you can retarget with Facebook, you can retarget with Perfect Audience, AdRoll, Google AdWords. Almost everything right now has retargeting, and people are just, making tons and tons of money. Like, it's like people call this free money, because it's not very expensive to do retargeting, and it's well worth it, because whatever you're offering on your back end, you're paying for that traffic. Usually the ROIs are pretty decent, um, especially if you have even if you have like a $17 product, it's still worth it to retarget. So I can't really get into really the details of retargeting right now, but it's something that, if you're not retargeting, that's definitely a big leak that you need to plug in your marketing efforts. So I highly, highly recommend you do it. All right. So my question to you is, should you use all of these things at once? So what do you think? Okay. Getting some yeses. Well, actually, there's two questions, right? Should you use all of these at once, or should you use all of these for different things at all times? Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend using every single one of these things on one offer, right? Like, you don't want an action trigger and then an exit pop. That's just crazy, because you want these are effective until they're not effective anymore. Okay, so I would use retargeting all the time, right? But I probably wouldn't couple an action trigger with an exit pop, with a sidebar, or with a squeeze bar, right? It's kind of like overkill. So yeah, you're right. You have to test them. You have to see what works, and you do not want to be bugging people. And if you have an action trigger and they didn't take you up on that action trigger, then I would definitely not put an exit pop. Unless you just really want to bug the heck out of people and hit them up with another offer. I mean, obviously that's something you can test till the cows come home, right? But don't go crazy. Don't go overboard. Yeah, definitely. Brian, make a really good point. Yeah, so that's my opinion. Like don't go too overboard when it comes to doing all these things. Michael says, "What's the name of the podcast you talked about?" Okay, so Michael, the name of the podcast is Crazy Egg. And can I explain targeting pixels? That's actually a much, much bigger topic, and we will be doing that on office hours. That's going to be a special topic that we're going to do for another time, for sure. So make sure that you just pay attention to the office hour topics. We do them about every 2 weeks, and that one's actually going to be coming up soon. So, and that's going to be a really good one. Cool. Because there's a lot that goes into pixels, and most people don't know all of it. So I can teach a whole session on that. Cool. All right, so let's get into the last section of today's training, and it's about controlling every offer. So take back control even with affiliate offers. So everything that I kind of mentioned here today, it would be kind of hard to do if you don't really own the property that you're promoting, right? I mean, if you don't own the page, then you can't really like put, I mean, you can put an exit pop if you use our exit pop tool. Um, but you can't really put an action trigger. You can't really put a squeeze bar. So how can you actually plug the leaks of even the affiliate offers that you do? Can anyone take a guess? No? All right. Almost. Almost, Diane. All right. So happy I'm covering this today. Cool. All right. So let's get into how we actually do this. And you might even be doing this already. So let's get into it. So the point is that you have to take the ownership back, right? And when you actually do this strategy, you will actually see your sales increase. And we're mainly talking about affiliate offers, because everything else that you promote, if you own it, then you can do all these things that I talked about. If you don't own it, then that's a problem, because you're kind of just relying on what that other marketer is doing and saying. And if you just rely on that, and it might not even be as good. I mean, how many of you have seen a really, really good product, but um but like the sales page doesn't really represent how good that product is, and you kind of like, you want to scream it across the rooftops your opinion of that product, like how you use that product. um, I know it's sometimes frustrating. Sometimes I have to actually write up a review on a product, and I have to say like, oh well, this sales page kind of sucks, right? But I'll tell you that the product is amazing. So don't judge, you know, don't judge the product by the sales letter kind of type of thing. Okay. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So how will this help you even sell even more? Well, it's not an iframe, and it is a pre-sale page. Okay. So with all the fancy tools and technology that we have in our at our arsenal, at our fingertips, what I talked about earlier today, we need to use that for our advantage, okay? And the beautiful thing about this technology like lead pages, ClickFunnels, InstaBuilder, Optimize Press, all these affordable tools, we can build very, very quick pages that will put a buffer between our message, or let's say like the however you're bringing that person in, whether it's an email, whether it's an ad, right? And so you have your traffic source, and then you have your pre-sale page, and then you bring them to the affiliate offer. So guess what? When you have this pre-sale page, you now take the ownership back, because you can now put a squeeze bar. You can now put, I mean, not saying you have to do it, but you can now put an action trigger. You can now put an exit pop-up. You can now retarget, because you now own the process of how you are actually selling the product. So basically, you want to put a page where you're pre-selling that product, like a video, a demo, a bonus that you have that you're offering. You want to add some type of value. So maybe you want to teach people why they need the solution that you're offering, right? You want to explain why they should buy through your link and not somebody else's link, okay? And I'll say this, every time I do this, every single time I do this, I show up on leaderboards, because people just respond to this personal touch a ton better than they do if it's just your traffic source leading directly to the offer. So it's really good twofold. So it's good, number one, because you're taking that ownership back, right? So you can have all these other fancy things that we talked about in the webinar, and you're increasing the value of your offers, of what you're selling, because you're adding the extra things that no one else is really doing to get that person to buy, and get that person to buy specifically from you. Okay, so this is how easy it is to put together a page like this. So this is just a snapshot of one of my pages. I have my exclusive bonus, I have a 7-minute video here, and then the click to buy, right, is right here, and then they go to the sales page. Okay, so it's just as easy as that, and all you're doing is really explaining what you have, explaining your bonus, explaining why they should buy, whatever it is, and it's just you talking. There's no script really, but just don't ramble on forever. I try to make these videos very short, definitely under 10 minutes for sure. Sometimes, I really try not to go crazy, because then they have to go through the whole buying process too. So you don't want them to be, you don't want them to take too much time away and then get sidetracked from not buying. Okay, so if they're really highly interested in the product, whatever you have to say will make them even more interested, actually. And I don't know if you guys had this happen to you, but sometimes there's a product where you totally don't really understand it, and or maybe it's like a software and you're like, what, I don't get it, this video is not really explaining how the software actually works, and then somebody that you know and trust makes you a video about how they're using that software and that tool. That's very powerful. Okay, and that can bring somebody over the edge to buy. An affiliate can actually do a better job at selling than the actual sales letter itself. Okay, And that's why I really, really like this method. Yeah, Michael says you use a video or VSL to review the product and add value to the affiliate offer. Absolutely. You nailed it. I never heard the term bridge page, but I could imagine that it sounds like it's the same. Yeah, I call it a pre-sale page, but bridge page in my mind, it shows the connection between the traffic source and the offer itself. So makes perfect sense. Yeah, have I tested sending clicks to sales page versus the checkout page? I actually, honestly, I've been nervous to do that because, you really can't test if you're doing it right, if your affiliate link stays intact. So I kind of am nervous to do that. Maybe I will one day to send people directly because there are ways that you can actually, I think it's called like a stealth link, and it's a really advanced method to really just jump over a sales page if it's a really really bad sales page. I usually like if it's a bad sales page, I'm gonna say it. Like I'm gonna say this person is not doing this product any justice because usually like it helps getting a review copy or buying a copy yourself if you are gonna promote something. So you know I usually just go straight for just the sales page, and I don't really veer off the process too much because I just don't want to you know miss out on any affiliate uh, payments, just because, like, if I make a mistake. So, oh, yeah, you can definitely it's anything that a marketer puts on their sales letter is pretty much fair game to use with your own offers or with your own pre-sale page, right? If you're promoting their stuff because they want you to make sales, right? They of course they want you to sell their product, and oftentimes, like if you're making a blog post, you can just take images right off somebody's sales page and put it on your blog post. It's not always the case that you're doing that. Let me make this clear. You're not doing this method because a sales page sucks. That can happen sometimes, but even if a sales page is amazing, you could do this method as well because it just adds that extra layer on top of why people will go ahead and buy quicker with your backing if they know who you are and you're saying, hey, this product is amazing, and go check out the sales letter and you know go ahead and buy this thing. So we're not only talking about people who have bad sales letters. That's not the case at all. It's just one example. Okay. And some sales letters, they say too much, and you say something like, don't mind the busy, crazy sales letter. Look at this one thing, you're going to love it. And this is the one reason why you should buy this, right? Because of this one feature. Whereas on the sales letter, they might list like 20 different things, but you know that your group of people are going to love this one thing that the product does, right? So your whole video, you can make a 5-minute video on that one thing, and that's why that'll make somebody buy, which is amazing. Yeah, this is what we're really talking about here is the affiliate offers. Michael says, I don't have bad sales letters with the use of script all now. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, And it's funny you say that because it's even in the way that the sales letter is presented, right? So like the coloring of the sales letter and or the lack of, or just not making proper subheadlines and not making proper bullet points, whatever it is. So that can be off-putting too. Um, but yeah, you're right. Scriptall definitely helps you with the formatting and the setup and everything that you pretty much need in every aspect of your copy. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. um, Speaking of Scriptall, I do want to tell you guys that we're doing something really, really special for the month of July. It's starting in the month of July, and we're going to be having the Scriptall User of the Month. So if you are a user of Scriptall, you will get you'll probably get an email pointing you to the blog post, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to be a Scriptall user of the month. And we're really excited about this because we really want to hear from our users. We want to hear what you guys are doing in the trenches because you're the ones that are using it to get results and get better conversion rates and save you tons and tons of time on selling on your sales copy. And we're getting a lot of great feedback from our users, and we just want to showcase that even more. And we're really, really excited about the new program that we're having, Scriptall User of the Month. So please look out for that. And you do have to be a user of Scriptall. So we're working on a bunch of different things inside. So it really pays to get in there. If you are not a member just yet, you can hit me up and or hit up our support. I do have a coupon code that you can use. So I know some of you asked me that a couple times last time too. So that will be made available as well to the people who show up for our office hours and hang with me. So that's exciting too. So you could hit me up. Okay, yeah, easy VSL. That's an amazing tool. Saves a whole bunch of time. Absolutely. Yep. Cool. Does anyone have any questions on anything general or what we kind of talked about today? Any feedback that you would like to share kind of before we wrap up here? Let you all go for this lovely 4th of July weekend. Love the holiday weekends, even though it's been like raining every day here. Like, really? Oh, cool. Well, you guys have been really awesome. Again, thank you so much for your interaction. And that's what makes it more fun for me, for sure. Love, love, love when you guys give feedback. I'm actually not a big fireworks person. I'm actually scared of fireworks. I'm scared of people who like don't know what they're doing and then they like lose fingers. And I'm like, you know what? I can watch this on TV or I can, see pretty colors anytime I want to. I don't need to see them in the sky. If I do, then if it's far away, that's perfect, for me too. So just get me really, really far away from it because I like my fingers. Cool. Thank you guys. Well, thank you so much. This has been a good session here, and I hope that you actually, take one or two of the, like I said, don't be crazy. Don't think that you need to implement everything right away. This is just like little bits and pieces of things at a time. And the more that you kind of work on this and build this up, guess what? Then it's going to make the next time a lot easier to, just put these things together, like coming up with exit pops, squeeze pages, things like that. Like you can cross reference them. So once you do one, it gets really, really easy to do more. And then you can start just like crisscrossing and utilizing, one squeeze page for another offer and another offer. So your web of just getting people into your web, it gets just gets easier to put together, and it makes you be able to capture people who are not taking action right away. And that's kind of like the whole focus of this, is to get those people re-engaged, to get those people to take some type of action that you want them to take, whether if it's free or not. You just want to do something as opposed to just doing that bare minimum. Okay, cool. No problem, Michael. Thanks, Ryan. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you on the next office hours call, and it's been great, and we will talk soon. Bye.